Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of the My Car series from Ampro Engineering. What we have here is a very unique car in my fleet, and in fact could be quite a unique car out there in general because the company that made this, Marui, is no longer around. Now, the Marui did not make all that many vehicles, and again, this is a My Car series, so we're going to focus on this particular Thunderbird in my fleet versus the history of Marui, which perhaps I should do at some point. It's just unfortunate that I don't really have any of their products other than this little guy here. So let's talk about this Marui Thunderbird. So this was given to me by its original owner, who was a guy that I worked for, and he knew of my quote-unquote obsession, we'll call it. Told me one day that he had this car, and then a few days later it was sitting on my desk. This body here, he painted. He's a little bit older than me, and he painted this when he was a kid, and I have to admit, this is outstanding. I mean, you can see here, yeah, there's a little bit of, bleed around the edges here, but it's likely he didn't have access to the magnificent Tamiya masking tape. But overall, it is just beautifully done. The headlights are not messed up either with all this black. This is quite similar to how the actual Bill Elliott Coors Thunderbird would have looked. Again, just a fantastic paint job he did. There's very little damage to the car. In fact, I don't even see any cracks in it. I would say the vast majority of the damage was probably done just having this thing over the years in closets and moving and all that stuff. But overall, it's in really, really good shape, and I have no intention of changing it. It looks great. As for the chassis, now this is based on one of Marui's buggies. It is a four-wheel drive platform. Not the most robust of prop shafts in here, but it does work. The vehicle, when he initially gave it to me, I, kind of had a lot of cars. And what I did is I just went ahead and got it working again, and I gave it back to him. And him and his daughters used this thing for about a year. At some point, he broke it, actually. I want to say one of the knuckles broke. So what I did is I just redesigned it. It's been a fantastic seller because I guess it's a commonly broken part. This was not plastic, it was pot metal. So this is now an SLS part. One of the dog bones was lost, and I reached out to a Marui enthusiast and they got me one. Also, when I picked up the car from him, I noticed that the whole gearbox, I've got it somewhere, but the gearbox was all chewed up cosmetically. And at the time, I ended up finding this replacement gearbox on eBay for like $25. So I snatched that up. I think at some point I am going to have to redesign this. I have had a lot of people reach out and say that it's a commonly damaged part. You can kind of see that it's mounted here on the back bumper. So a rough rear impact could have some pretty bad damage. In fact, this one here might even be cracked. It actually does look like it's cracked in the middle. Nonetheless, I did tidy the car up once I did get it in my possession. It's got full ball bearings now. As I recall, there was something odd about the ball bearings, perhaps a more unique size. Threw in this old slot machine motor because vintage. No idea at all where the rear shocks came from. Obviously some rather cheap units. These front ones here, I feel like I've had these for 1,000 years. This is supposed to have a set of yellow shocks quite similar to what Tamiya would have done of this vintage. However, they were missing everything. The shock bodies didn't have any of the O-rings or any of the collars on the bottom. It was pretty much just the body and the shaft, and they didn't work. And I wanted to have something with oil-filled shocks because it works a lot better. So fine, it's not a matching set, but it is an operational set. Let's see what we have in terms of electronics. The servo, I feel like it is. It's an Airtronics servo, probably one of the old school base model servos. I actually can't really see the number on it. It does have a 2.4 gigahertz FlySky receiver, and at the time that I put this car back together, you were able to snag these very basic brushed ESCs on eBay for like $4. They've been a little hit or miss for me. I bought probably 10 of them straight out of the box. 2 of them were dead. 1 died a few months later, but all the rest have been perfect. So amortized over the entire cost, we did get 7 good ones. So I can't really complain about that. To the keen-eyed observer, you're probably thinking to yourself, this driver does not look right, and you would be correct. He is a Blackfoot driver that clearly says the Hornet. So in fact, I remember this driver's body. He was in my original Super Blackfoot. No idea where the helmet came from. A couple pieces of styrene and some double-sided tape, and we've got the driver hanging out there. Yes, he's incorrect, but he looks better than having nothing on the inside, I suppose. Overall, the car has had some use. These are the original foam tires, and these are the original kit-supplied pin spike tires. I don't know that they're installed properly. They are glued on kind of badly, and they don't really, you can kind of see here, there's nothing that really aligns them to the wheel. So my apologies if somebody out there who's into Maruis sees something missing. I simply haven't located any information about that. These foam tires, although a little bit used, a little bit dented. Again, this is not done by me. And again, the foam is not really seated properly. These are the original wheels and tires, and that's been part of why I haven't wanted to drive the car. Is I don't like them, and I don't want to damage them any further. So at some point, I think what I have to do is just design another set of rims that fits another set of tires. The attachment on this is very peculiar. You see, basically it's a bar that you align to that slot in there, and that's what holds it in place. Unique. But again, this is a car from the golden era of RC, and they were still trying to figure out what the heck was going on. I will say this, that they do have equal length tie rods at the front, so it's got steering that already betters the vast majority of Tamiya products out there, since this would actually have equal left and right turning capabilities. We do have appropriate acronym on there, and again, the car is based on a buggy, so it does have a more buggy look and feel to it. I've never done any driving with this car that has been buggy related. I don't want to damage the body or anything on the chassis, since stuff here would require me to basically redesign everything that breaks, and I really don't feel like that. I do want to just show real quick how the battery is accessed. As I recall, it wasn't all that easy for me to do. So you gotta pop all three of these tabs. Okay. And the battery is right under there. Looks like these are the mounting points for the mechanical speed control. Let's put this guy back on there. So yes, it is a two-owner vehicle. Really not all that much wear under the car. And overall, just a very, very unique piece of radio-controlled history. I do wish I knew more about the company. The person that recommended this vehicle be on the My Car series, Sean, his Instagram is up right now. He has a magnificent collection of Marui products. So perhaps one day we're going to have to do a little collaboration, because this is a brand that is unfortunately kind of forgotten in the modern RC world. And I think that's highly unfortunate. My friends, thank you all so much for watching this episode of the My Car series from Ampro Engineering. And hopefully in the future, we can get some footage of this little guy running and learn a bit more about Marui.